Hey Army, welcome back. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because on this channel, we go deep into the moments that prove why Jimin is not just a superstar, but one of the most genuine human beings in the entire music industry. And today, we're talking about a story that has been melting hearts all over the internet. A story that starts in a small dance studio in Busan and ends with 55,000 people filling a stadium on the most emotional night of BTS's career. So stay with me, because this one is going to hit you right in the chest. Let's set the scene. June 13th, 2026. Busan Asian Main Stadium, South Korea. 55,000 army members packed into the stadium, purple light sticks glowing in every direction. The air is electric. BTS is back in Busan, the city where two of their own members were born and raised, for the second night of their Arirang World Tour homecoming concerts. This night is also BTS's 13th debut anniversary. 13 years since 7 boys stood on a stage for the first time and changed the world forever. And in the middle of all that magnitude, the scale, the lights, the crowd, the history, Jimin steps up to the microphone. He looks out at 55,000 people, and he says something that nobody expected. Something so raw and so real that ARMY couldn't stop talking about it for days afterward. He said, "The teachers who taught me as a child are here today." And then he added, "I'll repay it with a more perfect performance." Let that sink in for a moment. This is a man standing in front of 55,000 fans. A man who sold out multiple North American stadium shows on the Arirang World Tour, Tampa, El Paso, Stanford, Las Vegas, cities that don't sell out for just anyone. A man who has conquered Billboard charts, earned RIA certifications, and dominated brand reputation rankings for years. A man whose name is known on 6 continents. And in that moment, at the absolute peak of everything, the first thing on his mind was the people who believed in him when nobody else knew his name. That right there is who ParkJimin is. But to truly understand why this moment is so deeply powerful, you need to know the full story. You need to go back to Busan, back to a middle school student who just wanted to dance. ParkJimin was born on October 13th, 1995, in the Jumjeong district of Busan, South Korea. Growing up, he was a bright kid, good at math, good at science, the kind of student parents dream about. His father actually wanted him to attend a science high school and pursue academics. But somewhere along the way, something clicked inside him. Something woke up. And that something was dance. It was during middle school that a young ParkJimin first walked through the doors of JiminDance Dance Academy in Busan. He didn't walk in as a prodigy. He didn't walk in with awards or credentials or any kind of reputation. He walked in as a curious middle school student who wanted to try something new, reportedly tagging along with a friend just to give it a shot. No pressure, no grand plan, just a boy who wanted to move. Within 1 month, everything changed. The teachers at JiminDance Dance Academy saw something in Jimin almost immediately. It wasn't just that he was talented. Plenty of students show early promise. What made Jimin different was the way he absorbed everything they gave him. The director of JiminDance Dance Academy later spoke about Jimin in an exclusive interview, and what he said tells you everything. He said that whenever he taught Jimin something, Jimin absorbed it like a sponge. And then the director said something even more striking. A genius really does exist. Think about what it means for an experienced dance educator, someone who has spent years teaching hundreds of students, to use that specific word. Genius. Not talented. Not gifted. Genius. That is not a word teachers reach for easily. And yet that is the word that came naturally when describing this particular boy from Busan. But here's what makes the story even more remarkable. Because the talent was already extraordinary. And JiminDance Dance Academy made a decision on top of that extraordinary talent. They let him train for free. JiminDance Dance Academy saw how much potential this young boy had, and they waived their fees entirely. Not because they were required to, not because his family asked, but because they believed in him so deeply that they were willing to invest their time, their space, and their expertise without expecting anything financial in return. They made a bet on a middle school kid from Busan. And they made it with their own resources. Think about what that decision meant. Think about the faith it required. This wasn't a famous idol. This wasn't someone with industry backing or media attention. This was an ordinary middle school student with an extraordinary gift. And these teachers looked at him and said, Whatever this boy becomes, we want to be part of it. We believe in it enough to give our best for free. That is not just generosity. That is belief in its purest, most selfless form. And that kind of belief does something profound to a person. It tells them, you are worth investing in. You are worth showing up for. You don't have to earn the right to be here. We already see it. Go further than you thought you could. Because here's the thing about that kind of early belief. It becomes part of your foundation. It becomes the voice in the back of your mind when things get hard. When you're a trainee struggling at midnight. When you're a new idol who doesn't know if the public will accept you. When you're a global star who still wakes up with doubt. That voice, the voice of someone who believed in you first, for free, before any of it, never fully goes away. And for Jimin, that voice came from Just Dance Academy in Busan. And Jimin, he did not take that belief lightly. Not for a single second. While other students would go home after class and relax, Jimin would stay behind. While his friends went out to enjoy their free time after exams, Jimin would stay in the studio and practice. He practiced on Sundays. He practiced alone. He practiced with instructors, whenever he could find one. He practiced the same move over and over and over again until it became completely his own. His contemporary dance teacher at Busan High School of Arts later recalled that during class, Jimin would constantly ask how to execute a move, and then go home and train specific muscle groups every single day in order to perfect it. His work ethic was unlike anything his teachers had seen, and it paired perfectly with his natural gift. The director of Just Dance Academy described Jimin as having an aura of intelligence and positivity, someone who made teachers want to gather around him just to watch him work. Someone who didn't just learn the moves from the outside, but absorbed them so deeply that every technique became uniquely his. Every style became Jimin's style. You could see his teachers in his foundation, but the expression was entirely his own. Army, here's a detail that will absolutely blow your mind if you haven't heard it before. In 2011, when Jimin was still a middle school student at Just Dance Academy, there was a dance battle. Just Dance Academy from Busan faced off against MJC Dance Studio from Pohang. Video footage from this battle eventually surfaced online years later, and when it did, it went completely viral. Why? Because in that video, a 16-year-old Jimin was executing popping and locking with the kind of control and precision that professional adult dancers spend years trying to achieve. One dance expert who analyzed the footage highlighted Jimin's use of control and isolation, describing it as one of the most technically demanding aspects of hip-hop dance. The level of detail in each movement, the deliberate, sharp way his body responded to the music, the complete ownership of the floor. The crowd in that footage was going wild, not for a famous idol, not for a celebrity, but for a middle school kid from Busan who simply could not be ignored. And Jimin didn't just participate in that battle. He won. And it gets even more remarkable. During that same period, Jimin reportedly also won a dance battle against a well-known adult dance teacher. A professional. Someone with years of experience in the field. And that teacher's reaction afterward? He said Jimin was too good, that he was a popping dance genius. A middle school student, defeating a professional dance teacher. In a head-to-head battle. That is a boy who was training for free at Just Dance Academy in Busan. Now fast forward to high school. After his time at Just Dance Academy, Jimin entered Busan High School of Arts, and he was admitted as the top student in the modern dance department. Not just a strong student, the top student. He majored in contemporary dance and ballet, and he became the department's principal dancer. He was so relentlessly committed to growth that even after school hours ended, he would seek out teachers and ask to practice more. When other students celebrated the end of exams, Jimin was asking for another hour in the studio. Jimin's father later shared in an interview that watching his son develop as a dancer was almost overwhelming. He said that Jimin excelled in contemporary dance to such a level that when Jimin expressed wanting to become a performer and a singer rather than a pure professional dancer, it actually felt to him like losing a genius. Not like disappointment in his son, but like watching something extraordinary choose a different path. And his father wasn't alone in that feeling. The teachers at Busan High School of Arts felt it too. They saw someone who could have had a serious professional dance career ahead of him. And so it was one of those teachers who ultimately changed the entire trajectory of everything with a single suggestion. Audition for an entertainment company. Big Hit Entertainment was holding auditions in Busan. Jimin agreed to go. His teacher said afterward that they were completely certain Jimin would pass, based solely on his dancing. Not on his singing, which he had barely begun developing at that point. Not on industry experience, because he had none at all. Just the dancing. Because the dancing was already at that level. Jimin passed. He joined Big Hit Entertainment in 2012 as a trainee. And here's the detail that still gives people chills. Jimin had the shortest training period of all 7 BTS members. Only 6 months as a trainee before his debut. Every other member trained for longer, some for years. And Jimin, with just 6 months of official training, still secured the final spot in the BTS lineup. Because the real training hadn't started at Big Hit. It had started years earlier. In a dance studio in Busan, with teachers who saw a genius and chose to invest in him for free. Now let's bring everything forward. Because this is where the story becomes something truly extraordinary. Jimin has never forgotten where he came from. Not for a single day of his career. Even as BTS became one of the most successful music acts on the planet. Even as Jimin became a global brand ambassador for Dior and Tiffany & Company. Even as he performed for hundreds of thousands of fans across continents. Even as his name appeared on charts and magazine covers and stadium marquees around the world. Through all of it, he has consistently returned to Busan. Returned to his teachers. Returned to the places and the people that made him. Over the years, Jimin has visited Just Dance Academy multiple times. He has sent messages of support and congratulation for their milestones and anniversaries. He has publicly acknowledged them on social media without any PR prompt or management requirement. At one point, he wrote directly to his fans, "Are you curious as to what I did in Busan? I met my middle school teachers, and also my dance academy teacher who helped me get to where I am today. The last photo is of the place I learned dance, just dance." He didn't have to write that. Nobody asked him to. There was no strategic reason to post it. He did it because these people are genuinely real to him. Because that small studio in Busan is real to him. Because gratitude for Jimin is not something you perform at the right moment for the right audience. It is something you live, every day, in the choices you make about who you go back to. And then the Arirang World Tour came. And then came Busan. On June 12th and 13th, 2026, BTS returned to Busan for the first time since their yet-to-come in Busan concert in 2022, the final stage before all 7 members enlisted for mandatory military service. The city of Busan transformed for the occasion. Drone shows illuminated Gwangan Bridge. The Busan Cinema Center glowed purple. The cultural project BTS, the city Arirang Busan, wrapped the entire city in celebration. And at the center of it all, Busan Asiad Main Stadium. Over 2 nights, 110,000 fans. Every ticket sold out. And on that second night, June 13th, 2026, BTS's 13th debut anniversary, Jimin did something quietly and completely extraordinary. He made sure his teachers were in that stadium. The people who trained him when he was just a middle school kid with no fame and no future guarantees. The people who saw the talent, waived the fees, and said, "We believe in you." He personally made sure they had seats inside that stadium on the most meaningful night of BTS's recent career. And Just Dance Academy responded with a post on Instagram that same night, translated from Korean, "Thank you so much for the invitation at J.M. I will leave after watching your amazing performance. This is just the beginning." Read that final line one more time. This is just the beginning. A teacher who watched this boy practice popping and locking as a middle schooler, who chose to train him for free because the gift was too real to turn away, sat inside a sold-out stadium and watched 55,000 purple lights fill the night. And after all of that, after 13 years of BTS, after world tours and chart records and global fame, that teacher still looked at Jimin and thought, there is more ahead. There is still a beginning here. That is the kind of belief that forms a person from the inside out. And that is the relationship Jimin has carried with him through every single chapter of his journey. When Jimin stepped to the microphone on June 13th and said, "The teachers who taught me as a child are here today," he wasn't delivering a prepared speech for the cameras. He wasn't filling time between performances. He was doing exactly what he has always done, acknowledging the people who made him. And then he made a promise to repay their belief with a more perfect performance. He said that at the peak of his career, with 55,000 witnesses, in his hometown, on his anniversary, with his teachers watching from the crowd, You cannot manufacture that kind of authenticity. You cannot train it into someone or write it into a script. It either exists in a person or it doesn't. In Jimin, it has always existed. From the middle school boy who stayed in the studio long after everyone else went home, to the idol who makes time to visit a small dance academy in Busan in the middle of a world tour, to the global superstar who looks out at 55,000 fans and still finds a way to make the moment personal. At every stage of his life, the same person. This is what separates Jimin, not just from other performers, but from most people. It is the consistency of his character across every version of himself. The student, the trainee, the idol, the superstar. Always the same. Humble, grateful, devoted to the people who believed in him first, and devoted to honoring that belief through his work. Because when you know someone gave you something for free, the best way to pay it back is to never stop becoming better. That is exactly why those teachers drove to Busan Asiad Main Stadium on June 13, 2026, and sat in the stands while 55,000 people screamed the name of the boy they once trained for free. They didn't go as fans chasing an idol. They went as people who already knew, long before any of us did, exactly who ParkJimin was going to become. And they went to see the proof, all at once, in the most undeniable way possible. Army, if this story moved you at all, drop a comment below right now. Did you know about Jimin and Just Dance Academy before today? Did any part of the story surprise you? I read every single comment, and I want to hear from you. And if you're not subscribed yet, please do that right now. Hit subscribe, ring the notification bell, and share this video with every army you know. Stories like this are exactly why this channel exists, to remind the world of who BTS really are beyond the charts and the headlines and the stadium lights. I'll see you in the next one. Borahi.